All right, I think we're all set. We're in chapter 1 in Algebra 2. We're going to be on page 22 today, so go ahead and open up your textbooks. We're on page 22. I apologize for the delay. Our streaming computer straight up froze, so I had to reboot the whole thing, restart the stream, all that fun stuff. So I do apologize for that, but let's get right into it and make up for lost time. We're on page 22. Fortunately, today is a little bit on the shorter side, so I'm hoping that'll help make up for some of the time lost there. All right, so we're on page 22. We're talking about order and absolute value. But before we do, just a little bit of brief review. If I'm on the right program. Okay. We talked about yesterday about the real numbers. Now, I know that this is a different graphic. This is the one I used to use to teach it. And, you know, we have the natural numbers. Those are accounting numbers. And we have 1, 2, 3, and so on. And if you add 0, they become the whole numbers. And then if you include the opposites, that becomes the integers. And if you include the fractions, that becomes rational numbers. And if you include the irrational numbers, then we get the real numbers and so forth. Now, there do exist complex numbers. We're focusing only on the real numbers, but we're going to go ahead and continue right on with this. Okay, so let's look at the number line. Now, the number line is the illustration of relative positions of the numbers. I know this is probably old news to you, but we're just going to go through very briefly exactly what this means for us and what we can do with it. All right, so the number line is the illustration of the relative positions of numbers. We start at the origin, which is just a reference point for other parts of the same system. 0 in this case for the number line. When we get to the graphing in 2 dimensions, we'll have 0, 0. If we're graphing in 3 dimensions, it'll be 0, 0, 0. And you can see how that would just go from there. So our origin is where we're starting from. That's the reference point. And again, we use 0. 0 is neither positive nor negative. It would also be incorrect to write positive, negative, 0. 0 is signless. Okay, it is the border between positive and negative. To me, it's one of the weirdest things about our date system is we don't have a year 0. I get that that's a fairly new concept, but the fact that we go from 1 BC to 180 is weird. Yeah. Okay. It's very weird to me, the fact that we go from essentially -1 to 1 and there's no 0. I also know I'm weird because I also think we should have started counting with the 0th century so that way all the numbers line up, but we're moving on. All right, so that's 0 for the number line. This is our origin. So drawing a number line, yeah, you draw a line, you put slats through it, you assign values. I don't know why they thought that needed a step-by-step in your book, but there it is. All right, now, an order is a relationship between any 2 items, and this is actually critically important. In mathematics, we have what's called the law of trichotomy. That means the law of 3 things, or 3 relationships. Numbers can be equal, one can be less than the other, or the one can be greater than the other. And one of those 3 things must be true, and only one of those things can be true. And so that's really what we're going to look at here. So let's consider example 1.6a, we're told to use this to compare a pair of numbers. So in 1a, we're told to compare 3 and -4. Okay, so we're going to compare these 2 and see which one's bigger than the other one. Now, we probably already know the answer to this, but let's just illustrate this on the number line. Well, 3 is over here. -4 is here. So we would say 3 is greater than -4 because it's more right. Okay, it's larger. Okay, if I have $3, it's better than owing someone $4. Okay, 3 is bigger than -4. It has nothing to do with what the number is. It has to do with relationship on the number line. If I compare -4 and -5, this is one where students start to trip up. If I compare -4 with -5, well, -4 is actually bigger. It's better to owe someone $4 than to owe them $5. Okay, it means you have more money. And I know that sounds weird because you still don't have any money, but you know, it's considered to have more money the less debt you have. Okay, and so that's the idea there. If I compare -1 and 0, okay, if we compare -1 and 0, well, then 0 is going to be greater than -1, or -1 is less than 0. It's more to the left, okay? And so -1 will be less than 0. 0 is actually greater than half our number line. Okay, because again, negative numbers are smaller than 0, or considered that in order. Not necessarily smaller, they're less than. Okay, and there's a difference there. All right, let's move on. An absolute value, that is the distance of a number to the origin. So for example, if I have the number 3, okay, well, if I mark this off, well, if I start counting from 0, that's 1, 2, 3. I can't draw, bear with me. All right, so the absolute value of 3 is 3. Okay, you'll notice we represent absolute values by those 2 vertical bars. If I am at negative 2, well, 1, 2. And so that's 2 away from 0. You can't have negative distance. And so we have the absolute value of negative 2 then is 2. And then, if I go through and find 0, well, the absolute value is 0, 0, because it didn't go anywhere. Okay, so that makes sense. So keep that in mind. The absolute value essentially removes the sign. Now, that's not actually what it's doing. It's telling us how far away from 0 it is. But essentially, it removes the sign. So you just write the number without the sign, and that's your absolute value. Okay, that's a short version. So if we consider this, let's do some without using the number line. And there we go. Okay, so we have example 1.6c. Okay, so example 1.6c, we have the absolute value of negative 15. Well, again, that means it's going to be 15 units away from 0, so we just write that this is 15. Okay, and so that was part A. Part B, we're told to find the absolute value of 4 plus 3. Well, anytime we have anything inside absolute value symbols, we have to do the operation first, because absolute values, as you can tell, is grouping these together. So 4 plus 3 is 7, so we have the absolute value of 7 then, which is equal to just positive 7. So that's taken care of. And then for part C, we have the absolute value of, we have negative the absolute value of negative 5. Well, first things first, we have to take care of the absolute value first. So we have negative being brought over, and then the absolute value of negative 5 is 5. So our final answer is negative 5. Okay, I know that looks weird, but that's what actually happens here. Now, when taking the absolute value of two numbers, the order may change. For example, a 20-point gain in the stock market is represented as 20 points. An 83-point drop in the stock market is represented as negative 83 points. So while 20 is a larger number than negative 83, because it's to the right of negative 83 on the real number line, the negative 83 represents a larger change because the absolute value of negative 83 is greater than the absolute value of 20. Okay, so keep in mind, the absolute value can change your order, so you have to pay attention to it. All right? So right now, you guys are working on practice 1.6. Okay, practice 1.6 blue. I should say that is blue. Okay, and then your homework is review 1.6 numbers 1 through 10 all. Okay, so I think there's like 12 in the section, and I just stopped it at 10, so they'd be 10 points each, and it'd be really easy for grading. So numbers 1 through 10 all, that's your homework. Also, you need to study for quiz 2. All right, which is 1.3 through 1.4. Okay, so that's what you guys are working on there. And there we go. All right, so that's your guys' homework. That's what you guys are working on in class. And then if you guys have questions, feel free to email or text me, and we will see you guys later. Bye.
Buenas tardes, bienvenidos a Español 1. Creo que todos me pueden escuchar. So, good afternoon, welcome to Spanish 1. Welcome back. First of all, I'm going to address to all the online learners. I have your numbers, so I'm going to be contacting you for a time today for you to come and pick up the pages that you're going to need for today and tomorrow, and you're going to have homework too, so I need to give those to you too. But for today, since I know you don't have a copy of what we're learning about and the introductions and farewells, and today we're going to be talking about questions and answers, I am going to go ahead and read them for you. So once I read them in English and then in Spanish, I want you at your house, wherever you are, and at the classroom, repeat them after me, okay? So I know that you have the first ones, so we're just going to do it like we did yesterday. You're not going to use your books or your pages, your copies, for the beginning of the class, but once we get to the farewells, I'm going to let you go ahead and use those for the Spanish ones. But once I get to the classroom, just like we did yesterday, you're going to put them away and we'll practice the farewells, the introductions and the farewells, just by you saying it in Spanish. So, but also we're introducing the questions and answers. So the online learners, I am going to say those in Spanish too, so you can go ahead and repeat it after me, since I know you don't have the copy. So let's go ahead and start with that. So let's go to page number 3, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, so page number 3. And let's go ahead and start. Actually, don't put your books away. Don't use your books for this one. So that's my bad, sorry. So I'm going to say it in English, and you're going to go ahead and tell me what it means in Spanish. So just like we did yesterday, just don't use your books. So make sure no one has their books out, no one has their copies out. And I'm just going to go ahead and read them in numerical order. So, good morning, señor, mister. So go ahead and say it in Spanish. Number 2, good afternoon, Mrs. Number 3, good evening, Miss. Number 4, hi. Number 5, hey. Number 6, how are you? Number 7.
Yeah, give it just a minute that your computer froze. There's froze.
There's froze?
Yeah, down there, so I'm going to fix it real quick.
Okay. So I just wait?
Yeah, just pause for a second.
How do I know?
If you want to, you can go to the before class animation or the interruption animation would be better, actually.
Okay, we're back. So I was frozen in the screen here at the school. So hopefully we'll be good and it'll stay this way. Okay. So let's go ahead and start with, let's go back to number 6. Okay, let's keep doing number 6. Number 6, so how are you? How are you? Say it in Spanish. How is your father? How is your mother? How is your family? What's new? Very fine. So-so. Ill. Better. And nothing much. Okay, since we already had a quick review, let's go to page number 5. And for the online students, I'm going to go ahead and read these in Spanish to you. So I'll go ahead and read those in Spanish so that you'll be able to hear it and you can repeat it at home, okay? So just pay close attention to the ones we're going to be reading, okay? So I'm going to read it again, numerical order, so from top to bottom. So you can go ahead and take out your book down in the classroom and your copies. And I'm going to go ahead and start, okay? What's your name? It's going to be, ¿Cómo se llama usted? ¿Cómo se llama usted? What's your name? ¿Cómo se llama usted? So go ahead and repeat it if you're at home. ¿Cómo se llama usted? Number 2, what's your father's name? ¿Cómo se llama su padre? ¿Cómo se llama su padre? Number 3, what's your mother's name? What's your mother's name? That's the question. ¿Cómo se llama su madre? Now say it with me, please. ¿Cómo se llama su madre? Number 4, what's your friend's name? What's your friend's name? ¿Cómo se llama su amigo? O su amiga, depending feminine or masculine. It's a pleasure. Mucho gusto. It's a pleasure. Mucho gusto. My name is, mi nombre es o me llamo. My name is, me llamo. My name is, me llamo. Number 7, his name is, se llama. His name is, se llama. Her name is, se llama. So the following 3, 7, 8, and 9 are going to be the same because it doesn't change the gender like it would do in English. His name is, se llama. Her name is, se llama. And his or her name is, se llama. The pleasure is mine. El gusto es mío. Okay, last row. El gusto es mío. Number 11. Goodbye. It's going to be adios. Goodbye. Adios. Until tomorrow. Hasta mañana. Until tomorrow. Hasta mañana. Until then. Until then. Hasta luego. So go ahead and say it. Hasta luego. Until then. Hasta luego. Until we see again. Until we see again. Hasta la vista. Hasta la vista. And then last one. Excuse me. Con permiso. Excuse me. Con permiso. Okay, great job. I am going to introduce the questions and answers, but we're going to go ahead and do those. I'm going to say them in Spanish, and I'm going to read them really quick in English and then in Spanish. And if you're online, just listen very carefully. I'm going to try to meet with you and somehow get you your papers. But I'm going to go ahead and read page number 7 and number 8 really quick. And that way you can listen to me, my pronunciation. If you want to try following along and repeat it, that's fine. But I'm going to go ahead and just read it really quick and try to get this page to you too as soon as possible. So go to page 7 and let's read it all together from numerical order. So 1, 2, 3, all the way to 10. So this ones are shorter, okay? How do you say? How do you pronounce? How do you write? How do you translate? What does it mean? I don't know. I don't understand. I can't. I don't remember. I forgot. So when we learn them in Spanish, I do want you to try to do the expressions that are here. Try to at least do some of them that can be used. So that way it'll help you when you use them. You can remember how you say it, okay? So number 1, how do you say it's como se dice? How do you pronounce it's como se pronuncia? Number 3, como se escribe it's how do you write? Como se traduce is how do you translate? Number 5, ¿qué significa? What does it mean? Or I think that's what it says. Yeah, what does it mean? Number 6, I don't know, yo no sé, or no sé. You don't really need the yo, but if you want to use it just to specify it, just be yo no sé, or no sé. Number 7, I don't understand, no comprendo. So I don't understand, no comprendo. Then I can't, no puedo. I don't remember is no recuerdo. And I forgot is se me olvidó. Se me olvidó. Okay, so for the online students, I do want to get these pages to you as quick as possible. We are going to have a quiz tomorrow on a couple of the greetings, mostly the greetings and the introductions and farewells, which is the one that we've been practicing the most. So we are going to have a quiz tomorrow, and I'm going to try to get those papers to you. I'm going to go ahead and text you. If you can't come over, I can email them to you, or I can send you pictures of them. That way you can have them and you can go ahead and practice them. So that's going to be it for today. Once I get to the classroom, we're going to go over the greetings and the introductions and farewells and the questions. So go ahead and practice those because we're going to go over them and not using your book because I want to be able to hear your pronunciation. So I'm going to get in contact with the online learners, and that way we can get your pages ready for you and you can go ahead and start practicing. Make sure you're practicing at home. Try to use it. The key of learning is repetition, so repeat it over and over again. Try to use it with your friends, try to use it with your parents if you already speak Spanish. Try to just memorize the ones that are in the book because most of the time we know Spanish, but we just have to go by the book this time. So I'm going to go ahead and end the meeting, and we'll be meeting tomorrow for a quiz. The first thing